G'day. I hate begging for money, but we've got to ask. We're planning for 2026 and we don't have enough money to keep going with the other side in the form that we've been going in 2025. We need a signal from you that you want the show to continue so that we can plan properly for what we will be able to do in 2026. Please go to othersidetv.com.au and join up to the exclusive side for less than $5 a month. And let us know that you want us to continue. Or if you want to just do it here on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, click the join button next to the subscribe button below, the join button, and that will enable you to support us also for a few dollars every month, just around the price of a cup of coffee. And it sends a signal that we should continue into 2026 and lets us know what we need to do to plan for next year. Thanks a lot for your support. I hope we're back in 2026. I don't want to say I told you so, but we told you so. All year we've been saying interest rates won't be coming down in a meaningful and consistent way because inflation must continue to rise because of net zero and government overspending, borrowing and money printing. You don't need to be Nostradamus or have a PhD in economics to predict that. And what do you know? Inflation is up again. Thank you, Albo. Thank you, Jimbo. Prices are up 3.8% year on year for the October quarter. There was zero chance of another interest rate cut this year. Now there's double zero chance. And they're talking about the fact they could even go up in the next 6 months, interest rates. Socialism doesn't work, folks. Who knew? Not just about everybody. But we keep voting for it because it sounds nice. And reining in spending and cutting public service jobs and services sounds mean. But when responsible dad says, hey kids, we can't afford all this free stuff, it actually sometimes pays to listen. Although in a country whose culture and decision-making is dominated by left-wing people and mostly women these days, supported by a bunch of very woke men and quite young and inexperienced ones at that, there's no chance we'll get out of this mess anytime soon, probably. There are about 2.7 million actively trading businesses in Australia. 2.7 million. And of those, roughly 97% have fewer than 20 employees and are classified as small businesses. 99% fall into the SME, small and medium enterprise category. They've got fewer than 200 employees. SMEs employ over 7 million people in Australia, accounting for about 2/3 of the entire private sector workforce. And they contribute about 600 billion to the economy every year, roughly 1/3 of Australia's total annual gross domestic product. Early this year, the Albanese Labor government announced its National Small Business Strategy because the solution to too much government meddling is always more government meddling, if you ask anyone who works for the government. The strategy formalises support for small business, indicating official recognition of their importance and commitment to help them thrive. Sounds like typical do-nothing bureaucratic waffle to me. The true effectiveness of these government attempts to help will depend on whether they do actually help address structural issues like cash flow delays, red tape, skill shortages. I haven't heard much about red tape being cut, have you? Or government just getting out of the way and not taxing for a while rather than trying to help? That'd be good. Anyway, joining me now in the studio to talk about all this is small business entrepreneur and other side regular Scott Challen, also known by his social media handle Shallow Chow. And we also have David Trad, another small and medium enterprise CEO from Vine Networks, one from the building industry, one from the telco industry. Guys, what's it like out there at the moment? And since I haven't told John who I'm going to throw the first question to, we'll just go broad on this. Jump in.
You want to kick it off there, David? No.
It's difficult. It's very difficult. Coming from operating or being in an executive or management role of a large corporation and the reliance on big teams, policy teams, it's hard to run a small business in Australia now. It's not, let's call it the John Howard era of, the backbone of the country is built on small business. It still is, but I think a lot of government interference actually makes it very hard to run a small business. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
very
Okay, you
exhausting.
look tired, mate. So, we all look tired because it's December that's coming up.
It's December.
Yeah, Scotty?
Look, 1/3 of small businesses are not expecting to survive the next 12 months. That's an absolutely horrifying statistic when you consider the employment and GDP that makes up in this country.
terrifying.
The ATO is on a mission to wipe out small business. There is absolutely no forgiveness in the way they collect debt in this country, and they are on a mission to destroy small business because this government hates small business. Successive governments have done nothing to support small business in this country, and it is on their knees right now.
Well, even the Liberals, right? I mean, they were the party of small business, but they seem to have strayed away from that a little bit.
But that's been nostalgic. We're talking about 15 years plus is the last time that a Liberal Conservative government actually looked to small business to hold the backbone of the country up. So that's a long time ago. It's not the case now.
We've just covered all the numbers. I mean, we need small business. This is the backbone of Australia, as they say. So where do we go from here?
Well, you're buggered without it. Look, I've had a business for 17 years. It's never been harder, Damien. Every single year, regulation, insurances, taxes, HR compliance, all of it continues to layer on and make it even more difficult to trade. Margins are getting skinnier and skinnier. We've seen massive shortages in materials in my industry, increasing price pressures constantly. We talk about a 3.8% inflation rate. Everyone in the building industry knows it's somewhere between 8 and 12. That's a fact. And they just paper over it and pretend it's not happening. Look, I'm at the coalface of the industry that's probably collapsing the hardest in this country. Second only, followed only by transport in this country, which is collapsing, almost as quick. Massive transport companies collapsing in the last couple of weeks, putting even more pressure on pricing and supply in this country.
Just
That's
look
not
at the
going to
amount
change.
of civil and construction businesses that are closed up in the last 18 months.
Yep.
It's a spectacular failure in that industry space. Like it's the employment, the contractors that lose their job and then they have to go find other contract work. And it's not that easy just to pick up after that when that happens. But the amount of civil and construction companies in the last 18 months, that covers a broad range, not just us in the telco space that does a lot of civil works, but in the building and construction industry. And we notice the concentration back to the larger ones who can afford to weather that storm because they've got big policy teams that can manage all the red tape and the layering of all the regulatory process that you have to jump through.
Why aren't we seeing unemployment go up, though, if this is the case?
Government is soaking up those jobs. 53% of Australians now are employed by the government at some form of level.
Right.
That's just ridiculous.
Well, the
But it's
horrifying
past
statistic
tipping-
I heard last week was 9 out of 10 new jobs created in Australia are in government. 9 out of 10.
So what the government's doing
It's
is
unsustainable.
it's fudging the numbers by putting so much money into government employees right now that just soaking up anyone who fails in business and then basically going to work for the government. That's what's happening.
But that's competing with all industries on every vertical, right? It's when you've got the government competing with the open market by absorbing that level of employment, you can just go and create whatever numbers you want then.
Well, it's like
it's
in my industry, it's like the ABC. Everyone talks about, the ABC's biased, the ABC's off charter, the ABC needs to be structured, the ABC. What they don't talk about is the fact that the ABC is a massive competitive barrier to entry for companies like ours. So trying to get started in small media in Australia, independent media in Australia, when you're competing against a monster, it doesn't need to run ads.
Yep. Yeah, and
How can you compete against a show that doesn't run ads?
Yeah, and it's a propaganda arm for the government.
Well,
and that should have been structured in the last Conservative government. Well, rectified the
Yes,
last
it should have been
Conservative
fixed the
government.
day after.
But the government soaking up all of these jobs mean that those people are more likely to vote for this government.
But that's
a fact.
then we get the cycle, which we're in now. So we've got 2.6 million, I think, public servants in Australia. So we've only got a national workforce of 10 million.
That's
out of two. Yeah. So out of 27 million
is that
people.
across all?
That's all levels. So that's all 3 levels, right? So it's 2.6. State is the biggest, obviously, because we have a lot of frontline public servants, which you need. But there's a lot of bureaucrats in that 2.6 million. So we've got a total workforce out of 27 million people of only 10 million people, and 2.6 million are working for the government, more than a quarter. So that is scary, right? This is really scary stuff, and then it becomes difficult for the private sector, especially small business, not so much the corporates, but small business, to compete and pay government level wages and give government level standards. So all the good talent goes to the government.
Yeah, once upon a time, the government used to be a bad payer with great perks. Right now it's one of the highest payers with great perks as well. So we just can't compete against that.
You can't match it.
No, not even close.
You can't.
Which brings me to industrial relations. Tell me a little bit about what it's like now, because I'm frightened about the fact I hear so many small business people saying to me all the time, I can't hire. I don't want to hire. I don't want to grow my business. There's no incentive to grow. There's no incentive to create jobs. You get punished for hiring.
It's the same chorus. We're all singing off the same hymn sheet. We call it the 70-30 split. 70% of the industrial relations laws, or that which is controlled by Fair Work Australia, is in favour of the employee all the time. It's very difficult to hire someone now because if they're a bad egg and they could be a bad actor, they operate in bad faith inside your business.
Sure.
Removing them is extremely difficult. If you don't have a law firm or in-house legal counsel to protect you and run that process, you're going to struggle.
But unions seem to forget, and people seem to forget on the left-wing side of politics, that when you introduce something to protect an employee, you're also creating a little bit of a disincentive for an employer to hire or to create a job.
Well, because it costs you more to exit someone than it does to hire someone.
And it costs you a lot to hire them too.
And so we're constantly pressured now by HR companies to put them on a subscription basis so that we can manage employees in our business. And once again, that sucks up another couple of points off your bottom line. It's a continual bleed by 1,000 cuts.
It's all margin erosion. That's where it starts to feed into.
Everyone knows in small business that the hardest thing is managing staff, right?
Managing staff is massive. I mean, that's why most small businesses try to stay small. They don't want to go to that next level because it's just way too hard with people these days. And something, we spoke about this off camera, but something shifted in people when it comes to employing in this country after 2020.
I think we were saying, like I was suggesting that COVID broke the mental psyche in Australia pretty bad. Because since 2019, we've seen a reframing and a change of mindset, and particularly in the workforce. You see people that, you take them on full time, they want to work from home, but then you see productivity take a nosedive, and that hurts any small business. Like you want to be fair, and you want to be as equitable as possible with your employees, but when it starts to hurt the business and you don't have any way around it because the way the regulation is now framed in Australia, it makes it very hard for any business leader to act in the best interest of its entity because of all the regulation that gets pounded on and layered on. It doesn't matter.
That sort of serves the corporates, right? So the big corporates, that gives them an advantage because they've 100%. Got the resources to hire lawyers, compliance lawyers, HR people, procurement people, all the stuff that a small business can't afford, right? Whereas it just it just kills a small business owner because they're drowning in.
It always has, though. It's always been this slow creep towards that. Big business has always been favoured in Australia. I think, especially in my working life, I haven't really seen anything that's been, designed to support small business to grow in this country. It's lip service. I mean, they can talk about, you're going to have, your roundtables and your discussions about productivity and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, nothing happens. Nothing positive comes out of it that makes anything meaningful or better for us as employers to be able to create opportunities in this country.
The best thing for small business would be for government to do nothing.
Mate, the best thing for government to do right now would be to do what they've just done for the students, wipe out 20% of small business debt. Why not? This government just wiped out 20% of student debt in this country to look after its voter base. But small business doesn't vote for the Labor government. That's a fact. So what did they do that? They were propping up votes. Now, if you wanted to support small business in this country, you'd wipe out ATO tax returns for any business turning over less than $1 million. Let's draw a line in the sand and say, why are you having to do all this paperwork? Why are you having to pay accountants? Why are you having to do this if you've just got a small business? It's ridiculous.
Big government and the left have really got the country by the throat at the moment, haven't they?
And they are choking everyone to death.
And I wonder how we get out of it. I want to try and end on a bit of a positive note, or at least with a bit of a vision as we come to the end of the year. But how do we get out of this?
Yeah, look, it's not going to be easy to unwind, but we need to get the right people into government now that can push that issue, because this government is hell-bent on just pumping in way more people to support the bottom line for Treasury and then ripping the guts out of the middle class in this country. Middle class is small business. Your entrepreneurs are in the middle class right now, and, mate, they're not going to be around for much longer. If we don't get this sorted out by 2028, we're cactus as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's really critical.
It's right? We're at that point.
It really is that critical. Yep. And we're not hearing enough about it in the media. We're not hearing enough about it anywhere, really, Dave.
Yeah, look, again, off camera, we were talking about policy on the run that's happening these days. It just seems to be a lot of knee-jerk reaction. But the thing that we can't forget, this is not about small business complaining, because if there's nobody talking about it, nothing's going to ever change. So if you want to do it on a positive note, from my perspective and the way I look at it, and it's just my opinion, government should not be interfering as much as what it is and creating so many layers of regulation. They should be there to enable and empower. That's it. And then step out of the way. Let the business leaders across the broad spectrum of businesses that we have in Australia, let them work to the basic framework policy that is created, and that's it. Step aside and just jump in when you need to empower and enable, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
But the machine hates small business, right? Because the machine just wants that control. Corporations, big corporations want that centralization of control. Governments love it because they can control the taxes.
Yep.
It's very hard to have
the
a liberal
the social
society.
contract here is about, empowering Australians to thrive and survive and to have the opportunity to grow families, have children, create businesses and create opportunities for other Australians. That's been completely torn up. Since
Can
2020.
we just pause on that for a minute? I want you to repeat that. The social contract. Because you can do all you want to do. You can be a totalitarian, authoritarian, left-wing, stomping, government. But at the end of the day, the reality is there's a social contract. There's human beings won't play.
Well, the social contract.
Just say that again.
The social contract, that's our unwritten agreement between us and the governments at all levels, that they give us the opportunity to thrive, survive, have families, have houses, grow a business if we want to, and create opportunities for other Australians. They have torn the social contract up since 2020. And, look, I sound like a bit of a broken record on this, but the agreement is that they give us those opportunities and we agree not to lynch them. That's how it's meant to work. That is the evolution of human history and governments. And at the moment, they aren't giving us any opportunity to thrive and survive. So at what point, and I'm not going to advocate for this, does the lynching start? Because I've got to tell you, there's a lot of people out there now
scared,
that are hurting, mate.
I'm scared because you're seeing it online. I'm seeing it online. You're probably seeing it online too, mate. These young boys and young men and who are kind of like, well, I've got a family now. I've got 2 babies. I've got a wife. I want to have a normal, where's my house? Where's my normal reward for the normal effort I'm putting in?
Yeah.
And it's not there.
And mate, look, they feel like they don't belong in their own country. They have no stake here. They don't have any future here, and they're being pushed out to the fringes. And that's what's happening. And look, it's being done by design. I do believe this government has an agenda at play here to gut the middle class and to wipe out Australian men.
Yeah.
That's pretty
brutal
heavy.
words. Get on to Scott Shallow Chow. Shallow Chow online.
Hey, it's the last episode. We're going to be spicy, aren't we?
We're going crazy. Guys, thanks very much for coming on. Really, really, really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have more time next year and we'll be back next year, I hope. Thanks a lot for your support this year.
Get more people talking, more from the small business sector. That'd be good to see because mainstream media don't give a damn. Don't care.
And look, support small business. Don't order from Uber. Go to your local takeaway store. Go get in the car. Go down there. Go down there with the kids. Do something. Don't just support the giant behemoths and mega corporations here that pay no tax in Australia. They're not owned by Australians. They pay no tax here. They offshore all their profits. Support Australian small business.
Yeah,
100%.
Great message to end for Christmas, right? Since we're spending a lot of Christmas time, we can spend it in the right way and support small business, create more jobs for everyone. Thanks, guys. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you, Dan.
Likewise.
Did you know that with a virtual private network or VPN on your computer, tablet, or phone, you can log into your favorite streaming services like Netflix from home with an internet address from anywhere in the world and watch all the shows that they offer in other countries, including stuff in different languages? And using a VPN to route all your internet traffic through a third-party server means that big corporations and big government can't spy on you. If you sign up now with private internet access, we think they're the best VPN servers out there. As a viewer of The Other Side, you can get 83% off the price of your subscription and get online for less than $3 a month. Check it out right now. Go to piavpn.com/otherside. That's piavpn.com/otherside. It's a great service, a rock bottom price, and supporting our sponsor, you are helping to keep The Other Side going and growing. That was a segment clip from our weekly Friday night news show, The Other Side, which you can watch in full by simply going to YouTube and searching up The Other Side Australia. Then you'll find our full shows playlist. You can also find all of our full shows and our segments on our own website, othersidetv.com.au. That's othersidetv.com.au. Help us build a whole new Aussie media by joining us over there and signing up for the exclusive side.